Okay, Pennywise Pauper, match 1 with Tron. We're on the draw. We have one Tron piece and one map. And we have spheres and a sphere and a star we can cycle. I think I'll keep it. If we can find one more Tron piece before we have to crack this map, that would be great. Our opponent leads with a Scoured Barrens. Not really sure what deck that could be. Maybe some sort of graveyard deck. The greedy play on my turn would have been to play map in the hopes I draw another Tron piece, but this play is better if I don't. So I'm going to crack for green in case I draw Ancient Stirrings. Alright, there's the Stirrings. Power Plant, okay. And now I have a map. And that means I'm going to have Tron next turn. Alright, opponent's playing Phyrexian Rager, so some sort of take on the mono black control list, splashing white for something. Journey to Nowhere. I'm not sure whether Castigate is a common, that's a discard spell. It's probably not. So I want to play Prism or two Spheres here. Probably Prism. Draw a card, okay. Pass the turn. See if they can deal with an early Crusher. Try to get this Rolling Thunder online and clean up the board if they play another 3-drop here. Heliod's Pilgrim. That's interesting. For an aura card, maybe a Pacifism or the tapping one. Empyrial Armor. +1/+1 for each card in your hand. I have never seen this played in Pauper before. That's pretty cool. And I guess the Rager combos with it by being card neutral. You get to draw a card when it enters. Alright, Firebolt. We could Firebolt, Flashback Firebolt, just so they have nothing to put Empyrial Armor on. It's kind of a good play because we don't want them to resolve Empyrial Armor, I'm pretty sure. They probably have ways to protect their creature after that, maybe like a Apostle's Blessing. And we don't have any Chainer's Edicts in hand to get around that. Then again, we could just play Marauder plus Star and sack the Star and start gaining life and try to outrace them that way. Our opponent's going to find some other creature to put those on, that Empyrial Armor on, if we just Firebolt those two creatures. So I think I'm going to be aggressive. And I'm going to play Marauder plus Star. And I'm going to plan on cracking it next turn and cracking the Sphere as well next turn and just gaining 10 life. And hoping that buys us enough time to Rolling Thunder whatever the Empyrial Armor or Chainer's Edict if we can find a Chainer's Edict. Alright, that comes down. It also doesn't have evasion, at least not right now, which means we could chump block it with Seagate Oracle or Mulldrifter. Alright, let's start by cracking this for blue, with the intent of playing a Mulldrifter. Gain some life. Cast Mulldrifter. Draw some more cards. I would like to be able to play one more Sphere and crack it this turn, so that if they play like another Empyrial Armor plus a protection spell, I won't just die. But the only protection spell I know of that's commonly played in the format is Apostle's Blessing, and I'm going to have multiple colors of creatures back anyway. So I'm deciding here between Oracle or Sphere, crack Sphere, and then play like Prism or Prismatic Lens. I think I'll be a little bit safer and go ahead and gain the life now. And the reason for this, oh look, there's a Tron piece. So I can actually do both. So I have 4 mana. I'm going to play Lens, filter to a blue, and also get to play my Oracle. Alright, perfect. And grab another Seagate Oracle because I have a Haunted Fangraph in hand. Pass the turn. I guess I should have attacked there, but I could pretend I'm going to triple block. Yeah, that was a big problem. I was so wrapped up in casting all my spells that turn that I forgot that I also wanted to attack. The good news is that we take over this game, it's not going to matter whether we miss 5 damage there or not, because we're just going to wipe the board with Rolling Thunder if we do get to take over the game. So do I triple block now that I did not attack with the Vanguard Marauder? Even if our opponent doesn't have anything, we don't want to trade these two creatures because we want to keep the Fangren around. Then again, I don't have any more artifacts that cycle in hand, so this is probably not gaining me any more life. Let's go ahead and do it. Let's see what our opponent can do at instant speed. And that can hopefully inform what we want to do on our turn. Alright, damage resolved. They traded with the two creatures, which is kind of good for us, which means we can Rolling Thunder more effectively without having to waste all the damage on one creature. Oromancer, okay. Returning Empyrial Armor. And they're just going to do it again? Alright, they do. They make a 6/6 this time. So at this point, I think I have plenty of time. I feel pretty safe at a life total of 20. I think I want to resolve a Crusher this turn, which means I can also resolve a Seagate Oracle, so I'll start with that. A Fangren Marauder or a map? The map goes well with the Marauder we already have. While the Fangren Marauder is a big creature. I think I like the life gain. I'm going to take the map. I'm not going to play it yet. Well, I'm going to play it, but I'm not going to crack it yet. 8 for Crusher, 1 for map, pass the turn. This also means our opponent can't attack this turn unless they want to give this protection or fake that they have something. And we probably will not block with Crusher if they attack. We might chump with the Seagate Oracle, though. Our opponent isn't black, so they could have Chainer's Edict, so I want to keep at least one Seagate Oracle around to protect the Crusher. This is a super interesting deck. Do I actually even mind losing my Crusher? Our opponent could be faking here. We have a Fangren and a Muldrifter in hand. I'm wondering what losing our Crusher does to our Haunted Fengraf. It improves our Haunted Fengraf, but we'd rather have the Crusher on the table. I think it's so good if Crusher gets to attack that I'm not going to risk it, even though I think there's a decent chance that our opponent doesn't have anything and they're just counting on us not blocking. Because if they really didn't want us blocking, they could have just not attacked. And, well, if our opponent actually had a removal spell, they could have used it pre-combat. But maybe they had a removal spell and a pump spell or something like that. So they play Pestilence. So it looks like they're resolving to take an attack from this Ulamog's Crusher, which is obviously great for us. We can leave back Seagate Oracle to chump. Alright, they get rid of 2 lands. I'm not really sure why they're keeping Pestilence around. It's not going to help them get rid of this Ulamog's Crusher. I would have sacrificed Pestilence before the lands, but maybe our opponent knows something that we don't. I think I'm safe playing a Fangren Marauder here, because if our opponent does go land, activate Pestilence for 5, that means they're not messing with the Ulamog's Crusher, which means they're probably going to lose. So I will start with Seagate Oracle, and then I'm going to play Fangren Marauder, and then I'm going to crack. Well, I have a Rolling Thunder. I could just Rolling Thunder here and then again next turn, but I think this is just as good. Fangren. Crack the map. Gain some more life. Go get a tower. I could also get a Fengraf here since I don't really need all this mana. At this point, the Firebolt's not doing anything, so I'm just going to hit my opponent in the face with it to make it easier to end the game with Rolling Thunders. And that should lock up the game. I know our opponent kept the Pestilence instead of a land, but I don't think the Pestilence is going to do anything here. Basilica. So we need to start thinking about sideboarding, because I don't think our opponent's getting out of this. Oromancer, Rager, Heliod's Pilgrim are the creatures we've seen. Empyrial Armor, Pestilence are the non-creatures we've seen. We have to assume they have card draw to combo with the Empyrial Armor. Maybe a Sign in Blood. Maybe a Read the Bones. Alright. So we're going to go with a pre-combat Rolling Thunder here. And we're going to see if our opponent can do anything about this. 7 and 8. There we go. Hit OK. Our opponent could have a protection spell to protect the Oromancer, but the 8 damage on their face would still resolve. because the spell has multiple targets right now. They activate Pestilence once, Pestilence twice, Pestilence 3 times. Okay, I think they're just being silly here, since they're dead on board. And overcome our creatures for lethal. Alright, how are we going to sideboard against this Rogue Brew? Alright, so Ray of Revelation is the obvious answer to Empyrial Armor. I see no reason for relics. I don't think they're the type of aggro deck I want to feed the clan against. Earth Rift, not important. Ancient Grudge, probably not important. Circle of Protection, red and green, not important since they're white-black. This also hits Pestilence, so I believe I'm bringing both in. Firebolt is interesting. It lets us get rid of the creatures before they Empyrial Armor them up, but not afterward. It does basically nothing. So I think these are the two things we'll sideboard out. Alright, we go to game 2. Alright, we have 2 out of our 3 Tron pieces, and 2 copies of each. We have no colored mana. We do have our sideboard card. So if we draw a Tron piece, we have a turn 4 Crusher. If we draw colored mana, we can prevent losing to an early Empyrial Armor. I think I'm going to keep this hand. We have a lot of different ways to produce colored mana in our deck because of this exact situation. 4 stars, 4 spheres, the land, the prism, the thing that's like the prism that I can't remember the name of. Alright, there's a Pilgrim. So this is kind of like a 1-card combo with a Pilgrim since you go get the Empyrial Armor and it doesn't cost you a card. Contaminated Ground, make it land a swamp. And when it becomes tapped, its controller loses 2 life. Alright, so that can take us off Tron. So we can do this with the Unknown Shores, and then we can float the mana in response to the Contaminated Ground, so we don't even lose 2 life, and then we can blow up the Contaminated Ground. Kind of unfortunate that their sideboard card is going to fall victim. Let's put a stop on their main phase, just in case. Their sideboard card is falling victim to the same hate their main deck cards are. Alright. So here we can evoke a Muldrifter, or we can play a Prismatic Lands and plan on casting it for full value next turn. I don't think we're under that much pressure. I'm going to go ahead and wait a turn. Alright, Auramancer gets to get back at Contaminated Ground. We could potentially win this game without ever having Tron online, though. Since we could just go Muldrifter, Muldrifter, hardcast Fangren without Tron mana, and then eventually hardcast Crusher. So I was just doing some quick counting, but I can cast Muldrifter and crack the map this turn. So I'm going to do that. This will force our opponent to use a Contaminated Ground. So if they had something else in their hand they wanted to do instead, they now can't. Otherwise, we get to keep Tron online. It also makes any expedition maps we draw great because they can only Contaminate Ground one thing, presumably, and then we can just go search up whatever that thing is. Also, we have the Ray of Revelation in our graveyard that we can just pop it off with. That means that we don't have an out to an Empyrial Armor, but it might be worth it to be able to get multiple things online in one turn. Luckily for us, they choose the tower, which we have another one of. So we don't actually have to get rid of Contaminated Ground this turn. We'll still have Tron online. This will still only tap for black mana, and it will still cost us life to do it, but at least the rest of our lands will be unaffected. Let's see what they get with this second Heliod's Pilgrim. Another Contaminated Ground, okay. So I would like to play Crusher, and I also have Chainer's Edict Protection with this Muldrifter right now. So I think I'm going to do that this turn. I can start off with the Prism, though, and still have enough mana left over. Oh, no, I can't. Not until I play this tower. Play the tower, now I can play the Prism. Ancient Stirrings. Do I want to pay 2 life to Ancient Stirrings? Probably not against this aggressive of a deck. I can just play the Crusher. Oh, actually, I don't need the tower mana. I can do it over here. Perfect. Of course, this means that I can't Ray of Revelation on their turn. I think I can wait on this Stirrings. I would like to be able to Ray of Revelation on their turn. Also, if I was not blocking with the Muldrifter, I should have attacked there, but despite our misplay there and misplay last game of not attacking with our Fangren, our opponent does concede. It looks like they do not have an out to the Ulamog's Crusher. Very cool deck from our opponent, though. I like the one-card combo of Heliod's Pilgrim into Empyrial Armor. I think that's pretty neat. Maybe they just need a little bit more targeted removal to be able to deal with Tron. Alright, on to match 2.